There is never anything easy about a cancer diagnosis.
But imagine having to fight the disease during a pandemic, and imagine all of the isolation that would go along with that. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the Minnesota nonprofit Firefly Sisterhood is working to support women through the obstacles of COVID-19. We have Kris Newcomer, the founding executive director of Sisterhood, Firefly Sisterhood, joining us this morning. Kris, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
This is especially, breast cancer, as we know, a diagnosis is always difficult, but this is especially difficult during this time where you can't see people, you have the isolation, the fear of going to medical facilities. What are you hearing from people?
You know, it's been really difficult. I think the stress levels for mental health, like we're seeing in other professions, is really high. Being isolated when you have cancer is tough, but being isolated and not being able to be around friends and family is even more difficult. I will tell you, we have seen a huge increase in requests for our program because we're virtual. Women can connect, and like a 25% increase in requests over last year at this time. It's just been astounding.
The delay in screenings, I think, is something that's very concerning. We had a doctor from Alina on who was saying that throughout their system there's just an incredible number of people who aren't getting their breast cancer screenings. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's very scary. They were shut down when clinics opened up in July or June and July. They would call people and say, oh, do you want to reschedule? And they're like, no, I'm not comfortable. And so what it's going to lead to is, as one of our providers referred to it, a lot more gnarly cancers because of the delay in screening. If you can catch your breast cancer early, there's so much more you can do rather than having it a later diagnosis.
Right.
So it's going to really affect down the road the kinds of cancers we're going to see, the kinds of breast cancers we're going to see.
We don't even think of that during the pandemic. I mean, years down the road, we're talking about the effects there. Kris, can you talk to us a little bit about what Firefly Sisterhood does and the support that you give to women with breast cancer?
Well, what we do, we're a peer mentoring program. So women request our program. You can go to fireflysisterhood.org, request to be matched. We're kind of matchmakers. So we do an intake interview, hear your story, and then we go into our database of about 135 trained peer mentors and try to match you on your age, your diagnosis, your treatment, and your life experience. Not necessarily geographic, although that's nice when we can do it, but it's more of those four things, because then someone can talk with you about what you're feeling, what's going on. You know, we know isolation increases the risk of breast cancer diagnosis and the recurrence. So anytime you can really talk to someone, it does decrease that stress on your body and you react better to your treatment. So we really provide somebody to talk to who knows what you're going through, who's been there and done that. So that's our program, along with some educational programs. Particularly a lot we're focusing on self-care.
Right. Yeah.
In our online programming.
Right, and because Kris, there are so many more questions that people have, more questions than the doctor could ever answer. But to have that mentor, to have that friend there talking you through it is just so invaluable. Kris Newcomer with Firefly Sisterhood, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.